So, guys, today we are going to discuss few important concepts what do you mean by lazy loading? What is eager loading? What is explicit loading? Right? What are related entities? How you can load the direct related entities? How you can load the related to related entities? Right? All these things we are going to discuss by taking one real time scenario. Right? So basically, what I'm going to do first is, first of all, I will design the database, right, for a student management system for an educational institutions, right? So once we design the database, also database in the sense we are going to use entity framework or code first approach. I know you guys are very well acquainted with designing the database, right? And from the database using database approach, that is very well you know. Right? But most of the time I'm going to keep focus on code first approach. Code first approach means based on the model classes based on our DB, right? I mean, how we are going to do configuration from our .NET application, and based on the configuration, how we are going to manage the database. That is what we are going to discuss. So let us proceed and try to understand, right, how we can design the student management system for an educational institution by defining the models, by establishing the relationship between the models, right? We are going to show you, right? We are going to establish one-to-one relationship, one to many relationship, as well as many to many relationship between the entities, right? So we are going to work with the same project what we have created so far. So far we have created. Okay, so let me first delete this migration folder. I want to start from the beginning, and here this branch entity, let me delete this one. The student entity, let me delete this one. So why I'm using the same project? Because, right, I don't want to install this packages again and again. So Microsoft dot entity framework code dot SQL server, Microsoft dot entity framework code dot tools package, and this is configuration for introducing this offsetting standardization file, right? So this is the project, and currently our project doesn't contain anything. This is the context object. Okay, let me also remove this context object, right? So this is my context object. If you want to see what SQL statement are generated, for that purpose, we are going to use log2 method. Using this use SQL server method, we will specify the connection string. It will discuss everything from the scratch. So let us proceed and design the database. So whenever you are going to design a database for the student management, right, either for an educational institution, first of all, you need to create one entity, right? What is the entity? So we are going to create one entity for student, right? So let us first decide, right, what are the entities, branch, then I'm going to discuss a teacher, then I'm going to discuss object, address, course. So these are the different entities what we are going to design, right? So these are the six different entities. So let us start with this student entity. So what I'm going to do is, within my entities folder, I'm going to add a class file. So once I create the entities, then I will explain the code, right? So this is my student entity, which is going to represent the student right information. Whatever the information you want to take, the basic information, right? By taking those basic information, we are going to create. So first of all, this is my entity. So this is student ID, which is going to be my primary key. So this first name, okay, let me make this last name optional. So if you want to make any property as optional, you have to put this question mark. Otherwise, it is a mandatory property. I'm taking the student gender, which is mandatory. Date of birth is mandatory. So in this case, right, so this branch ID, it is going to be the foreign key, which is pointing to the branch table. So this is right. So now you just tell me. So right, between the student and the branch, a single student, is it possible that he can belongs to different branches? I mean, what should be the relationship between student and the branch? One to
One to
one,
one.
or
One to
right?
one.
So basically, one student can only belongs to one branch, right? So that one. And this branch ID, it is going to be the foreign key by with default convention. What is the default convention? How it is creating the foreign key? All these things we will discuss. But for now, just remember by default convention, this is going to be the foreign key. How it is going to be the foreign key? We'll see right in our comment session. So in this case, right, branch is going to my master table where I'm going to store the branch master details, and whatever the branch the student belongs to, that the branch ID I'm going to create here as a foreign key. Clear? Right? So first of all, you just decide. So between student and branch, which one is the master table?
Branch.
Branch. Master table means some fixed amount of data is going to be there. And
Yeah.
right, and the student table means it depends on the branch table data. So in this case, this branch is going to be my principal entity, and the student it is going to be my dependent entity. Why? Because this student entity depends on the data of the branch entity. Whenever a entity depends on some other entity, that other entity is going to be the principal entity, and this entity which is depending on other is going to be my dependent entity. And guys, remember, always the foreign key is going to be created on the dependent entity. Clear?
Okay.
So if first of all you need to decide which one is my principal entity, which one is my dependent entity. So how you will decide? So you have to think, right, whether this entity depend on the other entity or other entity depend on this entity. And accordingly, we need to decide which one is going to be the principal entity and which one is going to be the dependent entity. It is about your thought process. So now, if I'm talking about student and branch, which one exists first?
Branch.
Branch. And each student depending on branch or branch depending on student, which can exist without other.
Branch can
Branch,
Branch can
exist.
exist without student.
branch can exist without a student, but a student cannot exist without a branch. Clear?
Yeah.
The branch is the principal entity and the student is the dependent entity. And the dependent entity means here I'm going to create the foreign key. Clear?
Mm.
Now coming to student and address. Now you just tell me between student and address, what should be the relationship?
1 to 1.
1 to 1.
So one student can have only one address. Now you just tell me which one is depend on other. It's for example, I'm having a address table, I'm having the students table. Can a
Address is
student
depend.
exist? Can a student exist without an address? Yes. But can we have one address, but for that address there is no student? Is that possible? No.
No.
That
No.
means in this case, I can create a student without address. But if I'm going to create an address, right? I mean, if I'm going to enter some data into the address table, definitely the student ID is required. So between student and address, guys, tell me which one is the principal entity,
Student.
and address is going to be my dependent entity,
Independent.
right? So that is the reason why I don't have any foreign key for the address property. Clear?
Mm. Yeah.
Clear or not?
Clear.
Right now, a student can have multiple courses, right? So multiple courses means he can learn something called Java, C, C++, right? Or different right course he can learn in his academy. That means a student can learn multiple courses now. Now, which one is going to be the primary entity and which one is going to be the dependent entity? You just tell me.
Student only the primary entity.
So how student is
Course,
the primary
course
No.
entity?
will be
Or
right.
mm,
Course
Course
is
will
Course
be
going to
without
be the
must.
student.
primary entity,
Yeah.
right? Because a course
Course can
can exist
exist.
without any
exist.
student, right? But if a student is enrolling, the student is depending on course. Course doesn't depend on student, right? So in this case, this is also going to be my principal entity, and this is the what I can say. Or what I can say means this is going to my dependent entity. But guys, remember, foreign key is only going to be created when the dependent entity, I mean, when the entity is a reference navigation property. The foreign key is not going to be created when the reference property is a collection navigation property. For that purpose, we are having something different, that is many-to-many relationship. So whenever there is a one-to-one or one-to-many relationship, the foreign key is going to be created on the dependent entity. But whenever there is many-to-many relationship, the foreign key is going to be created in a separate table, or what we can call as joining table. So so here we need to understand. So how many types of a relationship are there? One to one,
One to many, many to many.
one to one, one to many, and right, you can say many to many, right? So in case of one to one, right, both the principal entity, right? So let's call this as principal entity, dependent entity, right? Both will contain the navigation property as reference type. Clear? Clear or no? Reference type means what? A complex type. And in this case, right, the entity is going to contain the foreign key. Clear? Reference type means what? This is nothing but your reference type. And this is nothing but your collection. I mean, this is also a reference type. This is also a reference type, but this is collection reference, right? Clear or not? So means it is, if it is representing a single entity, we are calling them as a reference type. If they are representing multiple entity like these courses, we are calling them as a collection navigation property, right? So this is a reference navigation property. You can call this as a reference navigation property, and this is going to be your collection navigation property. Clear? So reference navigation property means what? One entity. Clear or not?
Yep.
So in this case, both are going to contain the right navigation property as a reference type. Clear or not? One to one means. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. And whenever I'm coming to one to many reference type, right, the principal entity going to contain, right, here, collection navigation, collection, right, navigation type. Collection navigation type, and the dependent entity, it is going to contain the reference type, and here it is going to create the foreign key. Clear? I'm getting, you guys are getting confused. Let me first create the right, what I can say, all the tables, or what I can say, all the models, then I will explain this concept because it is a little bit difficult to understand. Let me go ahead and create the branch entity. Let me go ahead and create the teacher entity. I will explain all these things, right? Whatever I'm creating, this is understanding this relationship is very, very important. Let me go ahead and create the subject entity. Let me go ahead and create the address entity. Let me go ahead and create the course entity. So I have created all the entities, right? So now you can see, why I'm getting this error. Okay. Now you can see, so in this case, now let us try to compare the student with the branch first. So in the student entity, forget about these two. So in the student entity, I'm creating this as a collection property or a collection navigation property or reference navigation property. Collection means
Reference.
if it is a type of I collection, I list or list. So what type of a property? If it is only branch means it is a reference navigation property. So in the student entity, branch is a reference navigation property. If I go to the branch entity, the student it is a collection or it is a reference
Collection.
Collection.
collection. So now if I come to this one to many relationship, now coming to this one to many relationship. So one of the entity contains the collection navigation property and the another entity contains the right reference navigation property. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. So in this case, right, if I'm thinking from the student point of view, one student can have only one branch, that is one-to-one relationship. If I'm going to the branch entity, one branch can have multiple students. So what should be the relationship here? One to
One
one
to
or
many.
one to
One
many?
to many. One to many.
Many.
Right? So basically, if I'm combining these two, right, if you one end from one end it is one to one, from other end it is one to many. So we can call this type of a relationship as one to many. Getting my point? From
Can you
one
repeat
side,
again?
if you from student end it is one to one, right? From
Yeah.
student it is one to one, but from branch it is one to many. Right?
Okay.
If I'm asking what is the relationship between student and branch, you can say one student can belongs to one branch. If I'm asking what is the relationship between branch and student, you can say it is one to many. That is one student can have many, sorry, one branch
Right.
can have many students. Right?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Many to one.
Sorry.
That is one to many, many to one,
Yeah, that is
depending
one
on
to
the
many or
direction.
many. That is what I'm coming to that part, right? So
Oh,
be
sorry. Okay.
patient. So from this point, if I come from this part, right, student and the branch, we can say one to one. But from branch to student, I can say one to many, right? But if I'm going to combine these two, right? If I'm going to combine, if I want to consider what is the relationship right, between them, right, without thinking from one end and the other end, I can say it is one to many, or you can say many to one, right? Why? See, so the point that you have to remember from one end, if it is one to many, and from other end, if it is one to one, so we can call this type of a relationship as one to many, or you can say many to one. So combining these two, clear,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
right? So if it is one from one side, it is one to one. From other side, it is one to many. So you can call this as one to many or many to one relationship. So now, if someone asks you, so can you please tell me what is the relationship between student and the branch? So in this case, so you can say from student it is one to one. From branch it is one to many. So we can consider this type of a relationship as one to many. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in one-to-many relationship, right, the property, right, the entity which contains the collection navigation property, we can call that entity as a, right, principal entity. The entity which contains the reference navigation property, we can call this entity as a dependent entity. Now coming to this one, this branch entity, it contains the collection of students. So for this kind of, so in this case, this branch entity is going to be my principal entity, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Which one contains
Yes,
the
sir.
collection application property? That is going to be my principal entity in the case of a one to many. Clear?
Yes.
Now,
Yes,
coming
sir.
to student entity, this is containing the reference navigation property or not?
Yeah.
So if it is containing the reference navigation property, and if the relationship is between each, right, them is one to many, so we can call this entity as student entity as a dependent entity, right? And in the dependent entity, I need to create the foreign key. So here, am I creating the foreign key branch ID?
Yes,
Yes
sir.
or no? Right? Now, is that clear? What is the relationship between student and the branch, and where I need to create the foreign key, and which one is the principal entity and which one is the dependent entity between student and the branch?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And the collection that is branch to student. You only create collection, no ID.
Sorry?
You use okay. Now okay. I'm right. I'm looking at a line. Please, can you go back to branch?
Here,
Branch.
guys, that clear?
Excuse me.
What is your query? Please ask me, right? I don't need your
No,
explanation. I know.
branch. No, branch. I mean in branch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 9.
What is the problem?
Line
So this
9.
is the collection type, no?
Yeah, that is the collection. But I said in this case there's no ID. You only use the collection because it's one
So
too
do
many.
do you need to create the foreign key in both the principal entity and the dependent entity?
No.
Do you know where to create the foreign key? Do you have basic knowledge of SQL?
Yeah.
So where you need to create the foreign key? In the primary key table or in the foreign key table?
You create it
Foreign key
where
table.
in the foreign key table. Yeah.
So in this case, this is the primary key. Do I need to create the foreign key inside this table?
Okay.
Yes, we can
Okay.
create.
Nice. Now I understand that. Yeah. No.
Do I need to create a student ID column here in this table? So wherever I'm creating the branch ID, right, the computer science, mechanical or whatever, do I need to store the student ID also? If that is the case, then how many number of records I need to already insert here for the same branch ID? So this is the primary key table. And on the primary key table or in the right principal entity, we don't want to create any foreign key. So that is what I have mentioned here. Where I need to create the foreign key? I need to create the foreign key on the dependent entity, or you can say dependent table. So between student and branch, student is the dependent table. Why? Because it depends on the branch ID. That is the reason why I'm creating the foreign key here. Clear?
Yeah. Sure. Thanks.
Right? Now between student and address, right? Now let us try to understand the relationship between student and address. So in the student table, I'm having address right navigation property, and in the address table, I'm also having the student navigation property. So here, this is a reference property or it is a collection property.
Reference.
Reference.
Reference
Yes.
property.
In the
1 to 1.
student table also, this is going to be a reference property.
Yeah, it is a 1 to 1.
Right? So if both the entity containing the reference type, then what type of a relationship is this?
1-to-1.
Clear? So how to create one-to-one relationship? So if you want to create one-to-one relationship, then the navigation property, what you defined in both the entities, they are going to be reference type and pointing to other type. So student pointing to address and address pointing to student. Clear? Clear or
Yeah.
not?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Right now in between these two entities, right? So here we don't have any collection navigation property. So if it is a collection, we can consider them as a principal entity. So there is no collection navigation property. So how you will decide which one is going to be the principal entity and which one is going to be the dependent entity? You have to use your brain. You have to think about it, which can exist first. So between student and address, which exists first?
Student.
Student, obviously. Without student, there is no meaning of any address. One address cannot exist without a student, but a student can exist without a address. So in this case, which one is going to be the principal entity between student and address?
Student.
S- Student.
Student, obviously. And in this case, address is going to be the dependent entity. And what is I have mentioned? The dependent entity means there you need to create the foreign key. So now you just tell me. So between student and address, where I need to create the foreign key?
Address.
Address.
Address. So that is what I'm doing here. So now if you go to the address table, so there is the foreign key. So this is going to be my foreign key. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now come to the student and the courses now. So if you look at this courses, it is a collection property, right?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
And if you go to the courses, here also I have created one property of type, right, a student. It is also a collection. If both the entity, right, if both the entity containing collection application property, so means what? Both are going to be what type?
Mm,
Collection application property means it is the principal entity. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? So what do you mean by many-to-many relationship? Many-to-many relationship means if both the entity pointing to each other, what the relationship type is a collection type. Means here you can see collection of a student, and if you go to student entity, then this is a collection of courses. Right? So both the entity representing collection navigation properties or not.
yeah.
If both the entity representing the collection application property, then the relationship between them is many to many,
Many to many.
right? Many to many. But now you might have one question, sir. So as we know, whenever we are going to maintain the relationship means there should be some foreign key. And where is the foreign key in the case of many to many? So in this case, as I mentioned, collection and application means it is a principal entity. Collection application means it is also a principal entity. And I have already mentioned what I have mentioned. Foreign key is always going to be created in the dependent entity.
This
But
entity.
in the case of a many to many, both are principal entity only. Means what? Means within these entities, we are not going to create the foreign key. Rather than, right, what exactly we need to do? We need to create a joining table, right? And this joining table, it is going to contain foreign key, right? One, isolate is going to contain the foreign key two, right? The foreign key two. So this foreign key one will point to the principal entity primary key. This foreign key two will also pointing to the other principal entity primary key. Clear? So basically, in this case, right, in the case of a student and a courses, it will create, let assume it is going to create a table called a student course. Inside that table, it is going to create the primary key, which is the combination of course ID and the student ID. Clear? I'll show you this practically. Clear or not?
Is it this as a composite key or something?
Yeah, you can consider this as a composite primary key.
Okay.
And this composite primary key is also going to be the foreign key, and the one of the foreign key pointing to the student table, student ID column, and another one is going to point to the course table, course ID column. Practically, I'm going to show. In these things, right? So this joining table mapping, creating the joining table, creating the foreign key, pointing to the principal entity primary key, other principal entity primary key. These things is going to be automatically handled by the framework. We do not need to create any joining table, that is going to be managed by the entity framework. But I will show you this thing practically. Clear? So now, any question related to the student entity and whatever the application property we defined here? Clear or
No,
not?
sir.
So now by looking at the student entity, we can say one student can belongs to one branch, one student can have only one address, and one student can enroll for multiple courses. So courses means what? He can enroll for Java, he can enroll for .NET, he can enroll for data science. And in Java, we are having different subject like core Java, advanced Java, Spring, Hibernate. In .NET course, we are having different subject like C Sharp, like ASP.NET Core, like Blazor, right? Entity framework, different subjects are there in each course. And a student, right, he can enroll for Java as well as if he want, he can also enroll for .NET. There's no such restriction. Now, if you visit any institution, right, who are providing training, is there any limitation that you can only enroll for Java and you cannot enroll for .NET, or it is also possible that you can enroll for both of the courses? Just tell me.
Both
We
of the
can enroll
courses
in
we
multiple.
can.
can enroll for both of the courses. And this branch means what? Right? Where is the office? Branch means one institution, they can have one branch in Bangalore, one right, the another branch in Delhi, another branch in Mumbai, right? So this student, this particular student, right, belongs to which branch, right? That branch details we need to store. We are not going to design a software, right, for individual branch. One software which is going to manage the student, right, throughout all the branches. Clear? Clear or not? So this student entity is clear or not? Why I'm creating this
Yes,
right
sir.
branch address and all this. Now coming to branch. So inside this branch entity, you can see branch ID. Definitely it is going to be the primary key. Automatically it is the primary key. So what is the branch location? What is the branch phone number? Branch email ID. Every branch having a unique phone number and a unique email ID using which you can communicate. And at what location the branch? That data I am storing. Sir, and for a particular branch, how many number of students are there, that is student information. And similarly you can see this is my teacher entity. So teacher is also belongs to a particular branch, right? So is it possible that one teacher teaching in Bangalore and in the same day that teacher will move to a different branch? That is not possible. So that is the reason why we are making this teacher and branch as a one to one. Again, one teacher can have only one right, what I can say, address. And a teacher, right? And the teacher, see, teacher, it is not related to courses. Student related to courses. Guys, remember, a student can enroll for Java, a student can enroll for right .NET. But here you can see a teacher, right? It is not related to courses. It is related to subject. Why? Because a teacher can teach C#. The same teacher can also teach Java. That means the teacher is related to subjects, but the student, it is related to courses. Clear? Why I have mentioned this relationship?
Yes, sir.
Right. So that is the thing that what you need to remember, right? So and here any question, what type of a relationship here we have mentioned? One teacher can belongs to a particular
One
branch,
to
one
many.
teacher can have one address, and one teacher can teach multiple subjects. Now, if I go to the subjects table, you will see this is a teacher's collection. One subject can be taught by multiple teacher. Is it mandatory that you are teaching Java means no other teacher cannot teach Java? That is not true. One subject can be teacher right, can be taught by multiple teacher, and one teacher can taught right multiple subjects. Clear? So this is the right real time scenario that what you need to imagine. You need to think what is the best way to right design the database, right? What is the best way to right, implement the application logic? That what you need to think yourself, right? There is no syntax that I can give and he will give me the output. This is your thought process, right? And how if you are a good thought, right, then you can design a good software. So this is how we have designed this teacher and subject, right? So subject means one subject can be taught by one teacher. Sorry, one subject can teach by multiple teachers. Clear? Clear or not? So the
Yep.
student entity clear all the relationship what we define. Branch entity, right? Whatever the relationship we define in the branch entity, that is we have also discussed, right? One branch can have many student, and in a single branch we can have also multiple teacher. So come to teacher entity, one teacher can belongs to a single branch. A teacher can have one address, and a teacher can teach multiple subjects. Coming to subject, one subject can be taught by multiple teacher, and one subject can also be part of multiple courses. Why I'm saying, for example, if someone taking full stack .NET and someone taking full stack Java, so there is some concept, right? Like what I can say, HTML, like what I can say, JavaScript, jQuery. So these are the things which can be part of multiple courses. Yes or no? Yes or
Yes, sir.
no? Right? So that is the reason why one subject can be part of multiple courses. Clear? Why I'm representing here I collection of courses, because one subject can be part of multiple courses. Is
Can
that
you
clear?
please go to course class?
I'm going one by one, right? So I just explained the student, branch, teacher, and subject. I'm going one by one. I will come to definitely come to read course, and then I will come to subject again. Now, coming to address, right here you can see address ID. I'm taking this is going to my primary key, street, city, state, postal code. And here you can see I'm having two foreign keys. One foreign key, and here you can see the foreign key what I am creating here. This is a right optional foreign key. Nullable type. Nullable means optional. So if you are storing the student data, the student ID will store at that time teacher ID is going to be null. If you are storing the teacher data, that time teacher ID will be there and the student is going to be null. So if you want the foreign key to accept null value, in that case, you have to put this question mark. This question mark will mark that property that foreign key is a optional foreign key. Optional foreign key means it can accept null value. Clear? Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Right? So you can create the foreign key, right? Nullable type or not null, right? So that is going to be decided by this question mark. If you are putting this question mark, means it is a optional, right? What I can say, optional foreign key. Now, coming to this course, you can see the course name, description fee, and this course can be right, can be taken by multiple students, right? So if you look at this student and the courses, so student having multiple courses and the course also having multiple student. That is the relationship between student and the course is many to many. Clear?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I just missed the last explanation. When is the foreign key? When it is no, the last
I'm not
year
going to,
by line 10.
I'm not going to explain why the foreign key is not.
No,
So
no, no. That's not what I meant.
you
That's
just
not what I
tell
meant,
me,
sir.
you just
Yeah.
tell me what do you mean by foreign? If I'm making a foreign key is not null, can I accept null value in that column?
Yes. If you
Yes,
said
you
it can be nullable, if it is nullable, then you can accept. If it is not null, you cannot accept.
right? So if I'm storing, so this is one address table where I'm going to store the student data as well as the teacher data. If I'm
Yeah.
entering one information, do you think that if I'm entering the student ID, student information, at that time, I need to insert the teacher ID?
No.
So if I'm not going to send it the teacher ID, then how you can handle this thing? Means what? Means that column,
Okay.
right? This is going to be a
Yeah.
column, right? This is going to be a column. Then this column, right? Whenever I'm entering the student information, I mean student ID, the teacher ID column should accept null value. Whenever I'm
Yeah.
entering the
Okay.
teacher ID column, the student ID should accept null value. How you can do this? By making the foreign key as a nullable type. And to
Yeah.
make the
Okay.
foreign
Thank
key
you.
as nullable type, we need to put this question mark.
Okay.
Now,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
now, between the student and the courses, we are having many-to-many relationship. Now you can see courses and here students, so many-to-many relationship. Again, if you look at the course and the subject, right? If you look at the course, it is also having collection of a subject, and if you go to subject, it is also having collection of courses. So what is the relationship between course and subject? One course can have multiple subject and one subject can be part of a multiple courses, right? That means the relationship between them is many to many. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now coming to this teacher and subject. One teacher can teach multiple subject. One teacher can teach multiple subject and one subject can be also taught by multiple teachers. Then what is the relationship between teacher and subject? Guys, tell me.
One to
Many
many.
Many to many.
Many to many.
Obviously, it is going to be many to many. So whenever
Oh,
both are,
collection.
so it is going to be many to many. And in the case of many to many, a joining table is going to be created by the framework to maintain the relationship between them, right? So clear, guys, what are the tables we have created here?
So can you open the address table? So here we are adding the student ID. If you added a student ID which is not present, it will cause
Sorry?
error. If you entering one student ID here, and the student ID is not present in the student table, and
So
then
how? See, what is the meaning of a foreign key? So do you have basic knowledge of a foreign key constraint?
Yeah, foreign key is used for
What
means
about the
referring
student ID? What
to
about the
one
student ID?
as this.
I'm entering in address table. If that student ID not exist in the student table, do you think that it is going to be accepted by the database?
No.
If accepted, then why I'm creating this as a foreign key? Foreign key means before inserting the data into this table, this ID value is going to be checked in the students table. Whether this ID, whatever I'm entering, whether this is available inside this student table or not. If available, then the right it will allow. Otherwise, it is going to give you error that the foreign key violation constant. So this is the basic right knowledge of SQL. And I assume you guys are know this thing. Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Right? So before entering the data into the foreign key column, it will go to the primary key table and it will check whether that ID is exist or not. If it exists, then it will allow. If not exist, then it will not allow. It will give you some kind of a error, right? And to accept and yes, if you are not entering some value, null is acceptable, right? Null because we are making this null. If it is a not null value, then it is going to check right in the students table. Clear? And same also is in the case of a teacher ID. If I'm entering some teacher ID, it will go to the teacher table and it will check whether that ID is exist or not. If not exist, then it will give you error. Clear?
Yes.
Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write I need to add all this DB context, right? DB set properties. So whatever entities I need to add them, right? So DB set of students, so it is going to create a table called students table, teachers table, branches table, addresses table, subjects table, and the courses. So whatever the property name we provided here, this property is going to be the table name in the database. And apart from this is 6 table, right? Entity framework core is also going to create 3 more new tables. Why 3 more new tables? Because there are 3 many-to-many relationship, right? We defined in our entities. So how I can say 3? So one is between student and the courses. Student and the courses. One joining table is going to be created. Coming to this branch table, branch with the students and a branch with the teachers. Sorry, no. So there is no one to many between branch and the student. So there is some yes, teacher and the subject. You can say teacher and the subject, one many to many, and another one is subject and courses. Right. So there are 3 many to many relationships. And right, so if one entity content reference and another content right collection, that is one to many. For that purpose, right, it is not going to create joining. So joining table will only be created whenever both the entities containing collection navigation property. For example, between course and student. So in course we are having collection, and in student, right, we are also having the collection. And now between course and subject, right? Course, it is containing list of subject, and if you go to subject, it is containing list of courses. Now between a teacher and a subject, right? In the subject, you can see list of a teacher, and if you go to teacher, it is list of a subject. So when both the entities containing the collection navigation property, in that case, it is going to create the joining table pointing to the primary key of both the entities, right? I will show you right this thing practically. So total how many tables are going to be generated in this scenario? This is 6 table plus a 3 joining table plus 1 migration history table, right? Contain the migration data. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a database called a student DB. So what I'm doing here, I'm providing the database name as a
I
student
have
DB.
one question. I have one
Yes,
question. In
yes.
case of many to many relationship, we are actually not defining the foreign key. That will be defined by
Framework.
entity framework one. Can be explicitly defined if I want to define them?
Yes, definitely you can explicitly define. For that purpose, you need to use either, right? For that purpose, you need to use, right, a Fluent API configurations, which we will discuss in our coming session. So
Okay.
currently we are discussing the default convention, right? We have not applied any data annotation. We have not applied any Fluent API configuration. Right? So whatever currently we are discussing, these are the default convention. Once we discuss the default convention, then I will start a data annotation. Once I discuss data annotation, then I will do, right, I will discuss Fluent API configurations. We
Okay.
can explicitly define what should be the table name, what should be the right column name, right? Everything is manual, right? Manually, you can also define. We'll also discuss those things, right, in our coming session. Currently, we are
Okay.
discussing the default convention. I have not applied a single data annotation attribute. Nothing is applied. Only the default convention. What we are currently applying. Clear?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Now, so once everything is done, right? Let me build the application to make sure there is no compilation error. Yes, build succeeded. No compilation error. No. Now, once it is done, next what I need to do? I need to generate the migration. So how to generate the migration, guys? You know. So you have to write add hyphen migration. Any name you can give, right? Image one I have provided, right? Then we have to update the database. Okay. Right. So whatever SQL statement, right, you can see here. This is because, right, we have enabled the right EF core logging. Now refresh the database, and here you can see student DB is created. And right here you can see address table is there, branch table is there, course table is there, student, subject, teachers, right? Teachers is 6 table. And here also you can see 3 joining table: course student, course subject, and the subject teacher. And this table you can see there are right composite primary key. So course ID, student ID. So this is pointing to the course table ID column. This is pointing to the students table ID column. Similarly, course subject here also you can see this is a composite primary key. Also, they are going to be the foreign key, right? So, course ID, subject ID means what? Courses table, course ID column, subjects table, subject ID column, right? And here also you can see the another right joining table, subject ID. That means the subjects table, subject ID column. It is pointing to, and this is teacher's table, teacher ID column. So whatever the name you can see here, we can right, we can read and rename these things, right? We can provide some right user-friendly name, right? Instead of using courses, course ID, I can simply provide course ID. Here I can simply provide subject. That is possible, which we will discuss, right? Once we start discussing the right data annotation as well as what I can say, Fluent API configuration. And this is the migration history table, which is going to contain, right, all the migration files. So, okay, we are not getting this. Let me restart my SSMS. So why I'm getting these things? Because I have, right, delete the database. Once you delete the database, if you recreate, then you have to refresh, right? So now it should show me the data. Right? So this is going to be my, right, the migration history table. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? So this is how it is created. Now to check, right? Now to check, right, whether the foreign keys are created as expected or not. So in the students table, it should have this branch ID as a foreign key, right? So if you go to the students table, then you should see the branch ID column. So you can see branch ID FK means foreign key, PK means primary key. So branch ID is the foreign key, yes. Now if I go to the branch table, there is no foreign key. This is a master table. If I come to the teacher entity, this is also going to be master table. And there is no yes, in the teacher table, branch ID is there, which is the foreign key. Now if you go to the teachers table, then you will see branch ID as the foreign key, right? So you can see FK. Now if you go to the subjects table, right, there is no foreign key. Address table, there is a two foreign key. One is a teacher ID and another one is subject ID, but they are going to be nullable. So here you can see not null. Not null means they cannot accept a null value, right? Now if I go to the address table, then you will see the foreign key, but they are going to be nullable type, right? So here you can see student ID is a foreign key, teacher ID is a foreign key, but they are nullable type. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? So now courses means there is no foreign keys, right? This is going to be right master table, and this is going to be referred by the right joining table. So this is how we have designed the database. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Interesting.
Right now, right, as I'm going to show you, right, right, what I can say, eager loading, lazy loading, and the right explicit loading, we need some dummy data. As we progress, I am going to show you right how to insert data into this right tables. But for now, right, let me store some data right for the testing purpose. Right. So some dummy data for the testing purpose. Even as we progress, I'm also going to show you how you can insert some seed data. So branch, it is a master table. You can see branch is a master table. So here branch location, branch phone number, and branch email. So I have created 3 branches. So the ID of this BBSR branch is 1. The ID of Delhi equals to 2, Mumbai equals to 3. These are auto-generated. The identity, the primary key column is also auto-generated. So let me insert this one. So in this case, right, 3 rows are getting inserted, and you can also verify the branches table now. Right. So now if you go and check, so you can see the ID is 1, 2, and 3. So clear, guys? So how to insert the data into branches table? Clear? Any question?
No, sir.
Clear? What happened, guys? Any
Yes, sir.
question?
Clear.
Any?
Yes, sir, clear.
Clear. Clear.
It's clear.
Okay, so let me give this as a select star, right? So now if you look at the courses in table, right? Here I need to provide the course name, course description, and course fee. And definitely the course ID is going to be the primary key. So this is full stack .NET, full stack Java, and this is machine learning, right? So I'm creating 3 courses. The ID of this one is going to be 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So let me, and here also I have provided some right course fee. So let me go ahead and insert this data, right? So course is inserted. So now if you take this one and come to this branches table, then you should see the list of courses. So 3 courses is there. Clear?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, right, I'm having one subject table, right, where I need to put multiple subjects. And in this case, right, if you look at the subjects table, so then you will see, right, so subject ID, subject name, and a description. This subject can be taught by multiple, right, teacher. This subject can be part of a multiple courses. That is going to be many to many relationship. But in the subjects table, I'm going to create this one. So different subject, you can say ASP.NET Core development, C# programming, JavaScript, Java programming, right? Spring Boot, machine learning, Python, neural networks, right? So different subject I have provided and the corresponding description. And here, this is going to be the ID 1, 2. So auto-generated means sequentially it is going to be inserted into the database. So now let me insert the data, and you can verify the list of a subject, right, inside this table. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So one subject is there, right? Next, what I need to do, I need to insert some students. So if you look at the students table, while I'm inserting the student, I need one foreign key value. What is that foreign key value? Branch ID, right? So if you look at the students table, so while I'm inserting the student, I need the branch ID, which is going to tell the students belongs to which branch. Currently, if you look at the branches table, right? So this is my branches table. So how many branches are there? 3 branches, 1, 2, and 3. The branch ID is 1, 2, and 3. Now, while I'm inserting the student data, I have provided few student belongs to branch 1, few student belongs to branch 2, and few student belongs to branch 3. And here also the student ID is going to be auto generated. This will be the student ID 1, student ID 2, student ID 3. So here this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, what I have provided, this is nothing but your branch ID.
Branch
And this value is must be present in the branches table. If this value is not there, you will not, right, it will not allow you to insert the data. Clear?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right? Let me go ahead and insert the students. So I have inserted 6 students. Now, suppose I'm providing a branch ID 11. Do you think that it will insert the data?
No.
No.
Why? Because there is no such branch exist. And if you try, then this error
Foreign
message,
foreign
then
key
it will
constant.
you will get, right? So now if you go ahead and check the students table, then you will see, right, the number of students what we have inserted. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Coming to the teachers table, right? Right. If you come to the teachers table, then there is also branch ID is the foreign key. So here, what I'm doing, teacher name, branch ID, I'm inserting. So whoever the teacher and this teacher belongs to which branch, that data I'm inserting here. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now this is my addresses table. So in the addresses table, right, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to insert, right? So currently, how many students are there?
6.
Right? Out of 6 students, right? You can see student ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But how many student address I'm entering here?
4.
4.
4. And here the important thing is the address ID is going to be auto-generated. And here I'm passing the student ID. So I'm not passing the teacher ID. So teacher ID in this case is going to be null.
Null.
So here out of 6 students, I'm inserting the data for 5, right? Address for the 4 students, right? Similarly, out to, right, how many teachers are there? There are, how many teachers are there? Right, 4 teachers are there, right? Now what I'm doing, I'm inserting the data, or you can say address of all the teachers. So it is up to you, right? So I'm inserting the address of all the teachers. Clear? Now, if I go to the address table, then you will see those addresses who belongs to right, a student, the teacher ID column is going to be null, and those addresses which are belongs to teacher, their student ID is going to be null, right? So let us see. So these are the student ID means this address belongs to student. The teacher ID is null, and these are teacher ID means that student ID is going to be null. Clear? Clear or not? And
Yes,
this
sir.
is a foreign key, and it is accepting null value. Why? Because the foreign key is a nullable type. Clear, guys? Yes
Yes,
or
sir.
no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now once this is done, right, we are having, right, 3 what I can say, foreign keys, right? Or sorry, we are having 3
Join.
joining table. One is course subject, another one is course right, subject. Okay. So course subject, right? Now if you look at this course subject, so which one is course subject? This is my course subject. So inside this course subject, right, it is pointing to the course ID of a course table and the subject ID of a, right, subject table. So let me first open the courses table data. Let me again open the, right, what I can say, subject. Not a student, we need to open the subject, right? So now let me open. So currently we are having this number of courses and this number of students, right? So now we need to define for each course what are the subjects. For full stack .NET developer, .NET developer course, what are the subject I am going to provide? Similarly, for full stack Java, what are the subject? Similarly, for machine learning, what are the subject I am going to provide, right? So that is what I need to define. So this is, if you look at this, for full stack .NET development, what is the course ID? Course
1.
ID is,
1.
and for the course ID 1, what are the subject I need to provide? I need to provide ASP.NET Core,
C
C
sharp.
Sharp
2.
programming, and the JavaScript framework, right? So that is what I'm doing here, right? So this is my course subject. The first one is course ID 1. 1 means for the full stack development, and this is going to be 1, 2, 3. This is nothing but your subject ID. So subject ID means 1, 2, 3. Clear? So for full stack .NET development, I provided these 3 subjects. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? So let me go ahead and execute this statement. Clear? Now, second one is full stack Java. Java means what is the course ID? Course ID is 2. So here you can see for full stack Java, the course ID is going to be 2. And for Java, what are the course I provided? 4, 5, and 3. So what is 4? Java programming. What is 5? Spring Boot. And what is the 3? Java. So for Java, I'm providing these 3 courses. So for the full stack Java, I'm providing these 3 courses. So these 3 entry I have provided here. Clear or not?
Clear.
So if you are right, so that is what I'm inserting. Now for the machine learning, right, the course ID is equal to 3, and for machine learning, I need to insert the subject ID 6, 7, and 8. That is what I am doing here. Clear how to insert data into course subject?
Yes, sir.
Right now. Now what I need to do is I need to insert data, right, for course student. So course student means what? This course is there, and out of this course, right, I'm having some students are there, right? So course student. So the same number of courses, and here student are there. So now this student enroll for this course or this course or this course or combination of all two or all this course. That what we need to manage. For managing this, what I need to do, I need to make use of this course student table. So here you can see this is going to my course ID and this is going to my student ID. So now this is going to my course ID. Course ID means 1, and this is going to my student ID, right? So you can put any combination, student ID first, course ID first, that is fine. So here, John Dio is a student who is enrolling for fullstack.net. John Smith is a student who is enrolling for Java. Mark Johnson, this is a student, he is enrolling for, right, what I can say, machine learning. So he is another student. What is that course ID 2? 2 means full stack Java. So this is student ID 5, and he is enrolling for 1. 1 means full stack .NET developer. This is student ID 6, right? Who is enrolling for machine learning, and this is 1. 1 means John Dio. So 6 means who is 6? James. So 6 means James, right? So James, who is right, enrolling for machine learning, and John Dio, who is enrolling for full stack .NET development, he can also enroll for machine learning. Clear?
Yes,
Clear?
sir.
Yes,
Right? So
yes.
just we are inserting some, right, dummy data for testing purpose. Next one is the subject teacher, right? Here you can see I need to replace this. This is going to be subject, and here it is going to be teacher. So here you can see we are having 4 teacher and we are having 8 subject, right? So whichever teacher going to teach what subject, their combination we need to insert here. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? One teacher can also
Right.
teach multiple subject, and multiple or right, one subject can be taught by multiple teacher. That is fine. So we have
Here we need
inserted.
to check the,
Sorry?
yeah, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, here we need to check the each and everyone, like which person which work is doing and which person which work is doing.
Obviously, so you are developing the application means, right? You do not need to see here we are providing the data, right, manually. But this is not the approach, right? In real-time application, you will provide some kind of a interfaces where they need to select the teacher, they need to select the subject, right? And whenever they click on the submit button, their combination of data is going to be inserted into the table.
Here you have a small data, but in the productions we have a huge data, right? So we
But,
need to,
but in a production, right, we are not going to insert the data using SQL script, right? So in production, we need to provide the interface. In the interface, they will select the subject, right? Then
the
they
end
will
user
select
will select the options.
obviously, they will select the teacher and they will select one or multiple subject, right? And they will click on the submit button. Then for that particular teacher, whatever subject is going to be, right, their entry is going to be inserted here,
Your
right?
voice is becoming low, Pranay. Could you please once?
Guys, my voice is low.
Yeah, sometime it goes.
Sometimes, Kumar.
Yes, sir. Sometime
It's
we are
fine.
facing same.
Okay, okay. So the thing is that, right? Do you have you ever worked with any real-time application?
Yeah.
So in real-time application, how you are managing the data? Using
By
SQL
the
script
inter
or some kind of interfaces?
using interface or some kind of SQL statement.
Right? So for some SQL statement, whatever the master data we can provide. But for the right
So
day-to-day,
schema.
right? What schema you are talking about? So right for master
SQL.
data, for example, right list of courses, right? Even right anything, right? You can provide from the interface without creating any kind of a SQL script. Everything is possible through the interface, right? So in the interface, what you need to do, you need to provide that option, select the teacher. So out of all the teacher, whoever the teacher, that the teacher you need to select. Out of all the right the subject checkboxes, whatever the subject that the teacher is going to take, that checkboxes you need to tick, and then you need to click on the submit button. Once you click on the submit button, then that particular teacher ID and the corresponding subject data is going to be inserted into this table. That interface you need to provide, right? We are not going to write this right SQL statement again and again. And right, if you are writing the SQL statement like this, there is a high chance that we are going to insert some wrong data,
Yes.
right? But for testing purpose, that is fine. And for the testing purpose, even for the testing purpose, I have provided the appropriate data, right? You should not get any confused. That is the reason why I have provided the comment statement, right? Whenever I'm inserting here, so what is this one and what is this one, right? This information I have also provided here. You should not get any confusion. Clear?
Yeah, here you provided, but in the real time I'm talking.
So in the real time, you need to create the interface, na?
So it no need to worry about it.
Right? So why I'm saying, so these are the dummy data. For the testing purpose, I'm providing, because at this point of time, I cannot provide that user interface, right? Because we have not yet learned, right, what is the MVC, how to create the HTML pages, right? Those things we have not yet
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
For
Pranay.
understanding the thing, we need some data. For that purpose, I have provided this SQL script, right? So that you can insert the data. But what
Yeah,
data I'm storing, what is important, guys, remember. So that user interface is not that important. What is important? What data I'm storing in each table, in each column, what data, what is this data is representing, what is the relationship, from where this data is coming. Understanding this thing is very, very important. By looking at
sometimes
this
your voice
table,
is becoming low, Pranay.
then, right, actually, I have fixed the issue on my machine. Even I don't know why it is getting low. Okay, let
It's
me
okay. So
let
It's
me
fine, sir. That is
let me connect from my mobile internet. It might be possible because of the Wi-Fi internet.
Sir, it is pretty
no,
clear.
sir. It's fine,
Actually.
sir. It's clear.
it's fine. It's
It is
fine.
fine.
Fine. It's fine.
Yes.
So let me connect with my
Fine.
mobile network. Actually, I don't like any kind of a disturbances. That is the reason. Okay. So I just connected from my mobile internet. Now it is better.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Pretty
Yes.
clear, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So actually, right, it might be possible because of the right internet, right, Geo fiber I'm using. So might be because of that region, right? Currently, I'm using my mobile network, right? So the thing is that, right, important is right this table structure. What data you are storing in the table, that should be very clear. If you look at the students table, then you should identify this branch ID means where, from which table, from which column this data is coming. If you look at the student subject teacher table means you should know this subject is right subject ID pointing to which column, from where the data is coming, right? That is important. Rather than that user interface, that doesn't matter. So for us, understanding the table structure, understanding the data, understanding the column value, right, is more important than that user interface. Clear? Why I'm saying, because right, many people whoever right working right, for example, you join in a new company, they have given you the KT. So what people are saying, right, they're not going through the KT in detail, right? Without understanding the database structure, without understanding the right program flow, they are saying yes, we understand the KT, right? And then whenever the new task come, you have to take the responsibility to do the task. But if you have no idea, right, what data is going to store in which table, right, what exactly that data, why that data, what is the relationship with the other data, you will right get confused. So first of all, if you are taking KT, please make sure to understand the database right very clearly. Code you can go ahead and you can look and you can right by going through the code you can understand, by debugging you can understand. But if you are taking it, please make sure whatever the table, right, they are using for that project, each table and each column and the relationship between the table, right, between the table is very clear. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? So these are the dummy data what we have inserted, and right, I have also provided this data to you, right? So this is what I have also provided now. So this is what we have done. Next, what I'm going to discuss, I'm going to discuss these three important concepts, right? So lazy loading, eager loading, and explicit loading. So this is very, very important, right? And understanding this concept, right, is mandatory if you want to work with the entity framework code, right? So now, before understanding the lazy loading, eager loading, and right, what I can say, explicit loading. So what we need to understand? We need to understand what do you mean by related entity. So whenever you define a entity inside another entity, then that entity is said to be a related entity. So in this case, within this student entity, I have defined the branch entity, I have defined the address entity, and I have defined these courses entities. So this branch, this address, these courses, so these are said to be the related entities of student entity. So coming to this branch, this is my main entity, or you can say primary entity. Inside this branch entity, I have defined. So related entities means, guys, remember the navigation property what you define, whether it is a reference navigation property or whether it is a collection navigation property, right? That's said to be a related entity of the primary entity. So in this case, for the branch entity, student is going to be the related entity. Teachers is also going to be the related entity. Similar to teacher, so teacher is the primary entity, and here branch is a related entity, address is a related entity, and subject is a related entity. Clear? What do you mean by related entity?
Yes.
Right. Now this concept eager loading, lazy loading, and right explicit loading will come into the picture whenever you are loading the primary entity, how you are going to load the related entity. For example, if I'm accessing the student data from the student database table, how I need to access the branch data of that particular student, how to access the address information of that particular student, how to access the courses information of that particular student, right? How you are accessing means we are having three different approaches. What are the approaches? One is eager loading, another one is lazy loading, another one is explicit loading. Clear? What is eager, explicit, and lazy? We'll discuss. But for now, this lazy loading, eager loading, and explicit loading, when it will come into the picture means whenever we are having one primary entity, and if that primary entity having one or more related entities, and if you are loading the primary entity, how I am going to load the related entity or entities, that is going to be defined by the lazy loading concept, eager loading concept, and you can say explicit loading concept. Clear or not? Yeah, no.
It's clear.
Yes, sir.
Now, what exactly this eager loading? Now, let us try to understand first eager loading. Eager loading means what? As soon as you load the primary entity, load the related entity. So when loading the right, so when loading the primary entity, when loading the primary entity, load the related entities. Clear? So when I'm loading the primary entity, I need to load the related entities. This is nothing but your eager loading. That means what? That means using a single database round trip, I'm accessing all the entities, all the data. Clear? Using a single database round trip, I'm accessing all the data, right? All the data. So I'm doing this. Now, this is done by using This is done by using SQL joins. Clear? So now if I look at this example, student data. So while I'm loading the student data, if I'm going to load the branch data using a single query, then how I can do this? So for that purpose, I need to do a join between student and the branch or not?
Yeah.
Yes or no? So if you
Yes.
want to access the two database table data using a single query, what is the solution? Solution is joining or anything else?
Union output.
Sorry? You have to use join. So that is what the entity framework doing. So if I am using eager loading, then while loading the primary entity, the related entities are also going to be loaded as soon as possible. Means while I'm accessing the primary entity, it is also going to load the related entity. That means using a single database round trip means it will going to send a single SQL join to the database to access the primary entity along with the related entities from the database. Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Right. And to implement and to tell entity framework core to load the related entities, right, while loading the primary entity. So we are provided with two methods. One is include method, another one is then include method. So include method is basically going to load the direct related entity. So what do you mean by direct related entities? So in this case, right, if I'm talking about student, so for student, branch is a direct related entity. Address is a direct related entity. Courses is a direct related entity. So while I'm loading the student, if I want to load branch, address, and courses, then I have to use this include method. Clear? What do you mean by direct related entity and how to load the direct related entity using the eager loading concept? By using the include method. How to use the include method? What are the different ways to include the use the include method? I'll show you practically. Now, load the indirect related entities. We need to use then include method. For example, the student entity is there. Student having right one to many right relationship between courses, or you can say many to many relationship between courses. Now, if you go to the courses entity, so this courses entity having some relationship with the subject or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? So if you look at this student, is the student have direct relationship with the subject?
No.
Indirect.
So there is no direct relationship between student and subject, but there is some indirect relationship between student and subject. How? The student have a direct relationship with the course, and each course having a direct relationship with the subject. That means if my requirement is where I need to fetch the student information, I need to fetch each course and the corresponding subject. The course and the corresponding subject. So in that case, the subject is going to be a indirect related entity. Am I right?
Yep.
Right. So for subject, if you want to load the subject, then you have to use then include method. So direct related entity means you have to use include method. Indirect related entity means you have to use then include method. Clear or not?
Clear.
Clear.
Right. So let us proceed and
Sir,
understand, right?
then
Few
include,
examples.
it will load both classes, right? I mean, whatever the direct entity and also.
No. So the direct entity, how you are going to use it, then include. For direct entity, you have to use the include. For indirect entity, you have to use then include. How to use them? I'm going to show you. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because once I show you some example, right, everything I'm going to show you. And guys, remember, I can make it. Okay, let us start with this include method. So this include method, you can use in two ways. One, so whatever the related entity, right, that what you can pass, right? So this include method, I can pass the related entity, related entity in two ways, right? One, so what I need to do, I need to write the right string, right? What I can say, string related entity name, and also I can also specify the right related entity name using lambda expression. So both options are there, lambda expression. So both options I'm going to show you. So let us first understand this include method, then I will show you this then include method, right? So let me go ahead. It's very easy, guys, right? Understanding this concept is very easy. And even, right, I'm also enabling the logging, right? If you look at this, logging is also enabled, right? So whatever statement are generated, those statement also I'm going to show you. Okay. No. Now you can say there are two ways to load the data. One is method syntax, another one is query syntax. And I hope you guys are very aware, right, well known about the method syntax and the query syntax, right? You guys know what is the right, what is the method syntax and the query syntax, how to use the method syntax and the query syntax with the LangQ,
Yes.
right?
No.
So if you know, that's fine. If you don't know, then just go ahead and learn my LangQ concept right in my C# sessions. Because I'm not going to discuss right what is method syntax, what is query syntax, how to write code using a LangQ, right? So these things are the prerequisites. C# you should know, right? If you know, it is good. If you don't know, try to understand, right? So this is the approach of your, right, what I can say, right, the method syntax. So context dot student, and here I'm using include method. So context dot student means select a star from students, include address means join address. So in this case, while I'm fetching the student information, I'm using the include address. So in the student entity, is this address available? Yes, available. That's what I have specified using lambda expression. So now if I'm going to give address 2, so is there any related entity, or you can say navigation property present in the student entity with the name address 2? No. So whatever the related entity available in the student entity, those entity we can specify like address, branch, and courses. So these things I can specify here. Any property which is any navigation property, if that property is not available inside that entity, you cannot refer that entity, right, using the lambda expression. So only those application properties which are available inside this entity, those what we can access. So here, what I'm doing here, I'm accessing all the students, right? Context data student means all the students. And also while accessing all the students, I'm also including the address. Address means all the student and their corresponding address I'm going to paste. So in this case, it is going to make use of a join. So what kind of a join? Inner join or outer join, I mean left join or inner join, I will show you, right, with explanation. So this is nothing but you can say my method syntax. Another approach is there, right, which you can also use, that is this approach. So here you can see I'm specifying the related entity using a lambda expression. I can also specify the related entity using a string property. So here, if I misspell the property name, I will get a compilation error immediately. But here, I don't have any compilation error. But at runtime, I will get this error, right? I will get runtime error. So generally, I prefer to use this approach, and you should go with this approach. Why? Because you will get IntelliSense supports and compile time error. Right? So here you can see, you can specify what are the properties you can specify. Address, branch, and branch ID. So I specify these things.
Sir, on
Clear?
performance wise, which one is better?
There is no difference in performance wise. Behind the scene, the things are going to be same. But here, that what benefit I'm getting, that is not I'm going to get with this approach. The compilation and the IntelliSense compile time error and IntelliSense support. This is not getting right. I'm not going to get with this approach. Clear? Clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Right now,
Yep.
this is going to be your right method syntax. So now we'll see query syntax. Query means you have to write the something like this from student in context dot student, right? Similar to select a right a star from student. So select a star from students. Then I'm going to include the address, and then I'm selecting the student and then to list method. So this is the right what I can say. This is your query syntax, right? You are writing the query similar to SQL. So this student, what I'm selecting here, right? This is the student. Not only the student, corresponding address is also going to be select, right? So this is what I can say, your right core syntax. And here, this lambda expression you can specify with the core syntax. Also, you can specify the string property. So who is this Abhishek Vishwakarma Resha? So what is
Sir, I
this?
have a question. How we can include two objects?
Sorry,
How we can include two objects?
why you are in a hurry? So I can include two objects. I can include three objects. I'm going to show you how to include the related entities, right? Everything I'm going to discuss. Why you are in
Okay,
a
okay,
hurry?
okay.
So just we just need to go step by step, right? So everything I'm going to discuss. So in this case, right, let assume we are going to load the student entity and the corresponding addresses, right? So now what I'm going to do, right, once I fetch the data, so this is going to contain the data list of students. So list of student means I need to use a loop to access all the student information. So while I'm accessing the student information, if you guys remember, out of 6 students, how many students are having the address?
4.
4 students, right? So if you look at this, there are 6 students, and out of 6 students, right, I have entered address for 4 students. That means 2 of the students, they don't have address. So for that purpose, what I need to do, you have to, if you want to avoid the null reference exception, please make sure the student address is not null. If it is not null, then access the student address information, right? So here you can see student dot first name, student dot last name, address.ct, right? Whatever the address I'm accessing. And here, if the address is not, then only first name and last name I'm printing. And I'm saying address is no address. Right? That is what I'm printing. If any exception occurred while executing the SQL code, I'm going to display this error message. And finally, this is the output once everything is right. So let me run the application. Before that, make sure this log2 method is enabled so that whatever SQL statement are going to be generated, that what I need to display or right, what I'm going to show you. So let me first here we need to understand it should use SQL join and it should get the data using a single database routing. That is what we need to observe in case of eager query. Right. So this is the statement. So you can see, so 4 students they are having address and the 2 students they don't have any address. Clear? The data what we have in the database and accordingly data is displayed or not? Yes or no?
Yep.
Right. And now this is my select statement. Let me copy this select statement to the right what I can say with you. So in this case, this is my select statement. I'm fetching all the data from the students table and from the address table. And here, what type of a join it is using? Inner join or left join?
Left.
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 Right, left join. Why? Why not inner join? Why left join?
Because
Because takes everything, all the
the entities addresses
loaded.
the related entities of student.
Sorry?
Students is a primary entity.
Students are the primary entity and addresses as the related entity.
That is fine. But why the left join? Why not the inner join?
Because two of the
To retrieve all
columns
the
are
addresses.
blank.
Everything
Sorry?
is loaded.
Because
Other
student can't be
records,
null, but addresses don't have student.
no,
Right, so
addresses
in
are
this
equal
case,
to
in this case, so based on what column the joining is performed?
ID.
Student ID. Is the student ID in the address table is a nullable type or it is a right nullable type?
Nullable type.
So
Nullable
if you
type.
the address table, right? If you go to the address table and if you check the student ID, this is a nullable foreign key or not nullable?
nullable.
So whenever there is a nullable foreign key, the relationship between them is going to be left join. Sorry, I mean the join what entity framework core is going to perform is left join. Why? Because in the case of a left join, all the data from the left hand side table is going to be retrieved, irrespective whether the right there is a matching record is present in the other table or not. So in this case, all the data from the students table are going to be retrieved irrespective of whether that particular student is having some address or not. And this is possible because in this case, the student ID column, right, in the foreign key table, that is in the address table, it is nullable type. If it is not null, then the joining is not going to be left join. Not null means there is no chance that one right, entity is exist without null. So in this case, right, this is the reason why it is using left join. So whenever the relationship is optional, say it is going to make, in simple word, if the relationship is optional, then it is going to make use of a left join. If the relationship is mandatory, then in that case it is going to make use of inner join. So in this case, the relationship is optional. Why? Because the foreign key is a optional column. Yes or no? Getting my point or not? So
Yes,
in
sir.
this case, the student ID column, which is created as a foreign key in the address table, this is a mandatory column or optional column?
Optional.
Optional.
Nullable type means optional. So as it is a optional, so whenever the foreign key is an optional column, the joining between the table, which is going to be performed by entity framework core, is going to be left join. If it is a mandatory, then the joining is going to be what I can say. The
Left
joining
join.
between them is going to be inner chain. For example, right now you just tell me. So if I'm going to join the data between branch table and the students table, what type of a relationship it is going to establish? Do you think that one student can exist without branch ID?
No.
No.
Because in this case it is not null. Not null means a student can never exist without branch ID. So now if the framework is going to do the join between branch and the student, so what type of joining it is going to do? Left join or inner join? Which one is better in this
Inner
scenario?
join.
Inner join. Why? Because the relationship is mandatory. Clear? So whenever the relationship is optional, entity framework is going to do what kind of join? Left join. If the relationship is mandatory, it is going to do right. What I can say, uh, inner join. So now what I'm going to do is, in this example, I have only access one related entity address. Now I'm going to show you how we can access a multiple related entities. Now I'm going to discuss how to access branch, address, and the related courses. Then I'm going to show you how to access the indirect related entities. Clear? Right.
Yes.
So the point that what you need to remember is if you want to access multiple related entities, then what you need to do, you have to write this include statement multiple times. You have to use this include method multiple times within your, right? So let us see these things. So in this case, right, what I'm doing, so context dot student, student is my primary entity. So while I'm loading the student entity, I'm telling entity framework or hey, Mr. Framework, could you please also retrieve the branch data of that particular student? Could you please retrieve the address information of that student? Could you please retrieve all the courses of that student? So that means using a single query, it is going to retrieve the student information, the branch, the address, and the courses. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right now you can see I'm displaying your student at first name, student at last name. And if the branch is available, say this nullable operator I'm using means if this is available, means if it is not null, then it is going to display the branch location. If it is not, then it is not going to display the branch. Similarly, address means if address equals to null, then what it is going to display? It is going to display no address. If it is not equals to null, then whatever the CT, that what it is going to display. And the course count means here, right, how many courses the student have enrolled for, that count I am going to discuss, right, print. Means one course, two course, right, how many courses it is enrolled for, that what I am going to discuss. This is the same example using query syntax, right? So now let me run the application and see whether by using a single query, it is retrieving the data. Now you guys tell me, so this branch, for retrieving the branch, what kind of a join it should use?
Inner join.
And for address,
Left join.
okay, let us see whether that is what it is doing or not. So this is fine. So now you can see it is using inner join for branches, yes or no?
So
Yes.
is using left join for addresses, and again a left join with inner query for the collection properties. So in this case, this courses, it is not a what I can say individual property. This is a collection property. So it is using an inner right left join with some inner. But if it is a reference property, directly it is using right what I can say inner join and left join.
Sir, how you are seeing this, what it is using? I mean, inner join, left join.
What it is saying means.
I mean, how you are printing this?
So are you attending the session from today or this is your first class?
Actually, I have missed yesterday's class.
So, right. So basically what statement I have written here, right? So, even if you missed yesterday class, right? Why didn't you watch the sessions? Whatever entity framework course session we have taken so far, why didn't you watch? Because every session is related to its previous session. So this statement, whatever I have written here, option.log2, it is going to write the right entity framework or logging into the console window. That is the statement what I have written here. So entity framework or whatever internal statement, whatever SQL statement generated, executed, right, everything, right, it is going to write into the console window because of this statement. Clear?
Yes.
Right. So that is what I have written here. Now it is clear when entity framework core is using inner join and when it is using right left join.
Yes, sir.
Clear, sir.
Right? And how to load right multiple entities. How to load multiple related direct related entities. I have not yet discussed how to load indirect related entities. Is that clear?
Yes.
Right. So now what I'm going to discuss, right, what is how to load multiple related entities. So for loading multiple related entities, right, what I need to do, I need to use then include method. So let us see this with one example. So what I'm going to do is, right, so in this case, right, you can see this is my student entity. So what I'm doing here, I'm right retrieving the first student, right? So right where student ID equals to 1. That means I'm going to filter only the first student, and based on that student data, I'm going to include that corresponding branch, including that corresponding courses, sorry, address, and including that corresponding right what I can say courses. And now this is object, it is related to courses or it is related to student branch or address.
Courses.
Sorry.
It's related to
Courses.
So this object is related to which entity?
course.
Course.
Courses.
So the
Indirect
point
to student.
So the point that what you need to remember is, so once you access the courses, then only you can use this then include method. For example, if I take this then include method and if I access that here, it will not work. Why it will not work? Because in this case, this object is not related to branch. Getting my point? So when I'm going to use the then include method, so I'm going to use the then include method after the include method which given access to subject. So now in this case, out of the student, so which is the primary entity. So this branch entity is there, address entity is there, courses is there, right? So these are what I can say, these are my related entities. Right? So these are my related entities. Why I'm getting this error?
You have removed that subjects.
Parenthesis, I think, last.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
double brackets.
So that brackets is the issue. Okay. So now just tell me, right? So in this case, right, you till now you understand this concept, right? So let me remove this comment statement, which is making very right things difficult for me. So now you just tell me. So now you just tell me. Till now you understand the concept or not?
Yes, sir.
Right. So till now you understand the concept, right? How the things are happening. Now Now what is my requirement? I want to load the student branch address courses, and for each course, whatever the subjects the right is related to that course, that list of courses I want to include. Now you need to define. So the subject is related to branch or address or courses. If it is related to branch, then after the include method, you need to write it, then include here. If it is related to address, you have to write after the include method where you load the address. If it is related to courses, then here you need to write. So how? So here you can see I can write the then include method. So here you can see the then include method is there. And then now whatever the navigation properties available within the course entity, those I can access here, right? For example, let me give this as a C such that C dot
Subject.
clear. Now, so this thing you can put anywhere, right? For example, I can put here, no issue, right? So now this is subject which is related to course. If I'm using include, then this property must be belongs to the student entity. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
Sir, the question is like, for example, now courses, subjects are dependent on courses, right?
Yes.
And if there are sub-subjects, for example, it has any subsections, so we can use then include for subjects as well.
Yes. So for example, inside the subject entity, right?
It has further normalization.
There are a list of teachers, right? So now if you want to
Yeah.
load the list of teachers, and then again what you need to do, here you can write then include.
Acha, okay, understood.
Here you need to write then include, and here it will give you access to list of right whatever the navigation property you are having within the teacher, right?
Okay.
E
Yeah,
dot,
got it, sir.
you can see just clear.
Perfect, perfect.
Sir, is it
So parents need to be loaded first.
Sorry.
The
Yes, yes.
parent table should be included first. You meant to say?
Yes, yes, yes,
Primary
yes,
entity should be.
yes.
Sir, and is it possible with the strings as well
Hey,
instead of
you just tell me string. So I have already given you the example. String is possible, but why you should use string? If you will use string, right, instead of right, for example, I'm using teachers here, right? So instead of a teachers,
They are
right,
spelling.
if I'm writing something like this, right, first of all, this teachers is not supported here. So this is going to be possible with the, right, what I can say, include method, not with the then include method, because this is the new concept which is introduced in Entity Framework code, right? So here it is possible. Then why I'm going to use? But with the then include, that lambda expression is only possible, right? That right string expression is not available. Why? Because this then include what I am using or whatever I am showing you with the Entity Framework core. This is not available with the Entity Framework. In Entity Framework, we are only having this include method. Then include is not supported in Entity Framework. They have introduced with the Entity Framework core, and as they are introducing with the Entity Framework core, they do not provide that right string expression syntax anymore. So whatever you are referring here, it should present in the parent entity. Whatever I am referring here, it should present in its parent entity. And whatever I am using with the include method, that should be present in the parent entity. So in this case, this course doesn't have any link with the include. Why? Because this is include method. Include method means it is going to check the parent entity. But whenever I'm using then include method, at that time it is going to check with the immediate parent. Clear? Yes or no? So here, what I'm doing here, I'm displaying the student first name and the student last name, student branch I'm displaying, student address I'm displaying, right? All these things I have displayed here, and each student, right, can have, right? Oh, let me remove this thing, right? You can do so list of courses, and here whatever the course name I'm displaying, and in each course there are multiple subjects. So all the subjects I'm retrieving and displaying them. Now run the application, and you should see the data as expected. So this is my student data. John Dio branch is this one. Address is this one. Course fullstack.net. Inside this course, there are 3 subject. Course is machine learning. Inside this course, there are 3 subjects. Clear? And all this data, it retrieved using a single select query. This is single select query means it is going to improve the application performance. So it is now not sending right to the what I can say one by one select statement to the database to retrieve the data using a single database round trip. It is retrieving the data using SQL join. Clear? Clear or not? How to implement eager loading in entity framework?
Yes.
Clear.
Powerful.
Now you guys tell me when to use eager loading. I have explained you the example, giving one example, showing how to include one entity, how to include multiple entity, how to include multiple level of related entities, right? How to access the data. Now you just tell me, you guys tell me when to use indirect eager loading.
So if we wanted to use multiple joins or the data which we require from the multiple tables, then it won't hit database again and again. I mean,
So
so in that
I'm
case,
saying,
we can.
I'm saying no. So whatever you are saying, I'm saying no.
Sir,
For example, when we are selecting a particular student, so all the details or all the relations of the respective student, if we want to have it a single place, then this eager loading would be helpful.
Yes. So whatever data you want, right, if immediately, I'm talking right immediate requirement. For example, if while I'm fetching the student data, if I'm recording this branch entity, then I need to go with eager load. If this branch entity is not required here, then why I should load that branch entity data?
Right, for nothing.
For fast processing and lightweight kind of.
So in this case, right, you can see how big this SQL statement is and how many data it is retrieving. If those data is actually required at that point while you are fetching, then go with eager loading. If it is not required, then why I'm going to give a burden to my database by executing a very long query? Why I'm going to get the huge amount of data, which is going to take more time.
Correct.
Initial load is going to be more. If the data is required immediate, then go with the eager loading. Not immediate, later at some different location you need the data, then don't go with eager loading. For that purpose, we need to understand lazy loading. Clear? So lazy loading means on demand. Whenever you require the related entity, then send a SQL statement to the database and fetch the data. Clear, guys?
Yeah, it's lightweight.
Right? So if the data is required while you are accessing the primary entity, then we need to go with the eager loading so that it can reduce the number of SQL queries to the database. Using a single database round trip, it is going to retrieve the data. Clear or not?
so, sir, it is used for fetching the related data using eager query. So eager query is used for fetching the related data.
So what you are asking, I'm not understanding.
What I'm asking is, hello.
Could you please put your question in the chat window? Please put your question in the chat window, right? Because whatever you are asking, I'm not understanding. Anyone else having any more question? Because lazy loading, it will take at least 1 to 2 hours. So that what we will discuss tomorrow. There are 2 ways to implement lazy loading. I'll discuss everything related to lazy loading tomorrow. And anyone having any more question, they can ask me now. And guys, please, write what I'm saying. Attend the sessions regularly, or whatever we are discussing is eager loading for fetching related data. So this question, right? So whatever options we are having, eager loading, lazy loading, explicit loading, means what? We are going to fetch the related data. So fetching the related data, we are having multiple options. In the case of eager load, while it is loading the main entity, it is loading the related entity. In the case of a lazy loading, while fetching the main entity, it is not going to load the related entity. When we access the property right for the first time, at that time it is going to fetch the data from the what I can say from the database. So whenever we are having so basically to load the related entity data, we are having multiple options. Eager loading is one of the options. Clear?
Okay, okay.
Okay, so we can fetch the related data in multiple ways using eager loading, using lazy loading, using explicit loading. So in the case of eager loading, when it is fetching the main entity, at the same time using SQL join, it is fetching the related entity. In other two approaches, they are loading the related entity data in a different manner. How they are going to face in the case of lazy loading and explicit loading, I will show you practically.
Sir, may I know any real use case for eager loading?
So this is what I'm saying. Now, suppose you want to display the data, right? For example, you are having one page, right? Whenever you are going to display the employee, right, sorry, student information, right? Along with the student information, you want to show the related course and subject, right? So in that case, you need to go with eager loading. So if you are going to work with any real-time application, right, you only need to decide, right, whether the data is required at right at that point of time or some other point of time. So this is the example what I'm showing here. Is this? It's not this a real-time example? Right? I'm not going to
Yes,
say,
it
guys,
is.
remember, I'm not going to give you example using a one table or two table, two model. This kind of example, if you are expecting, forget about. So every example, whatever I'm going to give, right, going further, every example is going to be right related to some real-time scenario. So in this example, you can see the database. How many tables we have created here? 9 to 10 tables. So this is right something so right. So don't expect that the complete real-time application example I'm going to provide, but yes, the example whatever I'm going to give, it is related to real time, right? For example, if you want to send one invoice, for sending the invoice, right, you need the data. What is the order information? What is the customer information? What is the payment information? So in scenario like this, right, you can face all the data using a single query. For example, you want to return the order information only. Then in that case, I don't require to write face the payment related data. I can only face the order information, right? So basically, it is upon your requirement. What data you want to fetch, what data you require at that point of time, right? Accordingly, you need to decide. Right? For example, some conditional requirement is there, right? If the order status is this one, then only I need to fetch the payment information. Otherwise, if the order status is failed, then what is the meaning of accessing the payment information? Not required. So conditionally, you need to fetch. So if you want to fetch the conditionally, then what you need to do? You need to go with lazy loading. So first of all, fetch the payment data. They check the condition. If the condition is satisfied, I need the payment information to send the invoice. Then at that time, again, you need to fetch the payment data, right? So basically, right, once you start developing, right, you only need to decide whether I am going with a eager loading or lazy loading. The same concept you can achieve using eager loading, the same concept you can achieve using the right lazy loading concept. But what is important? Your thought process. You only need to decide, right, what approach I need to adopt for that particular scenario, right? So that is the reason why, right, whenever I'm going to discuss entity framework core and whatever, right, managing the entities, managing the relationship between the entities is very, very important. And those things, right, at the end of entity framework core, I will give you guarantee, right, you will be in a good position to design the database, right, using the models and defining the relationship, right, you will easily understand. I'm sure, right, before today's session, right, you guys are very right good at entity framework. So do you have any idea how to manage the relationship before today's session? When to use, right, navigation properties, right? Because right, this is important. What is the use of one-to-one? How I can decide, right, whether I need to go with a right one-to-one relationship or one-to-many relationship or many-to-many relationship, Or the framework, entity framework internally handle the many-to-many relationships, right? So these things, right? Understanding the behind the scene story is more important than writing this code. Right? So here I'm writing the code. This is a very right simple and what I can say easy to understand code. So what is important? Important is designing the database, designing the entities, maintaining the relationship between the entities, deciding where to create the foreign key, deciding right where to create right what should be the right relationship between two entities. Those are important concepts. Writing the code is not a big deal. Clear? Can anybody tell me why I'm getting this warning here? Guys, tell me why I'm getting this warning and how I can
No,
overcome
no,
this warning.
no label, no label.
Yes, nullable means how I can why it is nullable.
Question mark.
Not
Question
null.
mark.
So that is fine. So this is a nullable, but why? Why this student is giving me a warning? What is the reason behind for this?
Have a student ID equal to 1 in database. So student can be
So
null.
that is not the actual answer. This is because of this faster default method. So if this student ID is exist in the database, it is going to return the data. Otherwise, it is going to return a default value based on the data type. As the data type is student, which is a complex type, the default value is going to be null. So in this case, faster default method going to return either the student object or a null value. As there is a chance that this student object might be null, so we are getting this error, warning. So it is saying that student may be null. At runtime, right, you might get the null reference exception. So how to avoid this come? By checking with if the student is not null, then don't go ahead and don't do anything. If student is not equals to null, right, then only go ahead and do this operation, right? So now if I put the student information, right, inside this thing, then I will not get this right knowledge, that warning. So why, right? So now you can see that warning gives us that flexibility to avoid the null reference exception or not.
Yes.
Yes, that right. And how and why we are getting that? Because we are enabling nullable type. Clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right now for example, right, I'm writing this statement here. Now I'm getting this warning. So if I go ahead and if I disable this one, am I going to get that warning?
No.
No.
Okay, I'm not getting warning, but at runtime there is a chance that you will get runtime exception. So this is the advantages of using this nullable enable. So which is going to reduce, right, the null reference exception chances in your application by giving the warning message. So by looking at this warning, you will see yes, the student may be null. So if student null, then I'm accessing this faster name method. So I might get exception. So what are the different ways? I can put a question mark. I can put a question mark here and I will, right, if this is not null, then it will access the value, otherwise this. So why I'm going to use the question mark again and again in all the different right places where I'm accessing the student object? Directly I can check this if student is not equals to null. So if I'm checking the student is not equals to null, then I don't need to put the question mark here, right, all the different places. But here again, this branch might be null. Again, the address might be null, right? So every time you are accessing the related entity, please make sure that property is not null. If it is null, and if you are accessing any property using that null object, you will get runtime exception. So better to use this red question mark. Clear or not?
Okay, sir.
Excuse me, I didn't get it well. What you said last time. The last one. Why don't you also use the query in the student line 31, just like in 32?
Sorry?
Why don't I use the query, student query, first name, just the same like line 32 in branch? Why don't you put query mark there in 31, line 31?
I'm not going to
student.
discuss this simple, say this simple basic concept. I'm not going to discuss. So
No, what I
you are
meant is
so
no,
what
what
I'm saying. So this is not right. So this is not a ASP.NET Core concept. Why I'm not putting question mark here? Because I have already checked that nullability here. Na? If student
yeah,
is
okay, that's
not,
what I meant. Yeah, okay,
then
okay,
it will
yeah.
come inside, and here don't no need to check the nullable type.
Okay,
Why? Because it is
okay.
already checked by this statement.
Yeah. Okay,
Very
understood.
right. So these are the concept I'm not going to explain, right? So
But what I meant is if I don't put it in 28, then I can put it in 30, in 31 in the query. That's what I meant.
this doesn't require any explanation. So while looking at the code, you should understand this
Okay.
thing, right? Because right. So what I'm saying, because right, the prerequisites for ASP.NET Core is C# knowledge. And if you are not good at C#, right, then again, right, in this statement, you can say I have written only a basic example, basic LNQ query. So as you progress, I'm going to write many complicated query. Then how you will understand?
No, what I meant is actually that is either you
So I'm
put in
not,
28 or
I'm not talking about this line number 28 or this concept, right? So what I'm talking about is, right, people are not aware about LinQ, right? So whenever I ask, right, how to write the LinQ query, what is LinQ query syntax, method syntax, right? You guys are not aware about such things. How will they understand this thing? Because entity framework core means maximum time we are going to use LinQ only, right? Insert, update, delete, that is fine. But whenever we are going to use some kind of a data retrieval operation, right? I mean, whenever I'm going to paste the data from the database, fetching the data with joining, grouping, sorting, right? Filtering. So every time I'm going to work with the select statement means I'm going to work with the LinQ only. How you will understand? And I have already given access to my FaceApp session. Then you should go and learn the LinQ concept as soon as possible. Right? So this is not CSAP session that what I'm going to discuss, right? What is right? How I can access the branch property and branch location. So this is very simple, right? CSAP concept, and you should right, learn because right that is the reason why I have already given access to my CSAP sessions. Please take the advantages of such sessions. Anything related to .NET Core, definitely I'm going to explain, and that is too in depth. But I'm not going to explain the C# concept in depth because C# is itself a 6 to 7 month course, right? Whatever sessions I have provided, that is 250-hour sessions.
it's okay. Your CD is very good. The video you have that is very good. This is C#. I've gone through it.
So
That's
you
very
should
good one.
even right. So this C# session, whatever I have provided, these are my old videos, not the new one. The new one, old video means I think it is before 2 to 3 years videos, right? Means whatever I have explained at that time, and currently what I'm going to discuss in my coming future batch, that is going to be completely different one. So in each
So when are we
batch,
going to have the new one? When are we going to have the new one, sir? New
definitely
course
the
for
answer
C
is
sharp.
no. Definitely the answer is no, right? So
Are
whatever
you going to take a new course then? C sharp.
so the course, actually, I'm not planning to start any new CSAT batch. But in case if in future I'm going to start, right? Because right currently you are enrolling for ASP.NET Core, not CSAT. CSAT as a required for ASP.NET Core, right? I have given you free access. That doesn't mean whenever the new CSAT batch is going to be start, at that time I will allow you to attend the live session. That is different one. So you are attending the ASP.NET Core live session and C# I'm giving as a right free. You can say right free means what it is required, right? You if you learn, it is good for you, and it is not mandatory. If you have good knowledge of C#, you don't require right don't require to go through such sessions.
Yeah, and sir, today I have read one of your message that Azure
Yes,
course is
yes,
going to
right.
start, right? When it will
Actually,
start?
So actually, right, that Azure means one of my colleague, right? Colleague in the sense, right? We both are right studying in the same college, right? He is showing interest, right, in my right to provide training on Microsoft Azure. So that is the reason why I have also provided the message that, right, guys, my colleagues is going to take the session. Please, right, like my session, right? Before the session, you guys are making the payment, right? Because you guys know that I'm going to take the session means the session definitely going to be right well, right? Means something special. But at that time, as my colleagues is going to take the session, first of all, you need to attend the demo session, 3 demo sessions. Second thing is that I'm giving you a guarantee 15 days full refund money. Means after 15 days, all right, for example, you attend the session for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, if you decide that the sessions are not good enough, right, then right, you can skip the session and I can do a full refund.
Okay,
Okay,
those
but
sessions are
excuse
also
me. Oh,
in depth, right?
Yes, yes, that is in depth, right? So that is the reason why I have asked him, right? He is a working professional, right? His name is right Sarthak Das, right? So he's from Odisha also, right? From my college, and I'm going to provide the right detailed course syllabus,
Okay.
right? Because I know him personally. Unlike the
So what will be
Microsoft
the timings and
Sir,
cost of
timing
that?
decided?
time, mostly it is in the morning.
Okay. And
And
what
cost?
is
Cost,
how
right?
the
Cost
fees?
and timing, I have not yet decided. Right? First of all, we need to decide the things, right? What I need to include. Mostly, we are going to include, right? Agent 900. Three things we are going to cover. Yeah.
Yeah, you have
excuse me.
mentioned that AZ 900 and AZ 104, AZ 204.
Right, 204. Right? So this is what I'm going to cover, right? So AZ 900, AZ 104, and AZ 204. So that is the reason why I have asked him, please prepare a detailed course syllabus so that, right, unlike the microservices session which is currently going on, there is a very, right, miscommunication, right, between, right, I mean, whoever attending the microservices, right, they can feel the same thing, right, what I'm feeling, right? So what I'm saying, please prepare detailed syllabus. So here he is preparing the syllabus and he is going to cover these things, right? For example,
So
if you
now, is there any microservices batch is ongoing with your friend?
that is not taken by my friend, right? Yes, one of my colleague who is taking.
Okay, so those lectures also like your lectures only, right? How you are
But
teaching?
I would suggest not to join those lectures because I have right, given the feedback what I supposed to get from students,
Okay.
right? So right, personally, right, I'm not satisfied with the training because like if 100 members, if 80 members are joining the session means I need 8 members positive feedback. If 5 members, 10 members giving negative feedback means I'm not satisfied. I'm not targeting right those who are having good experience. I'm targeting the person right who are having zero experience. If they are giving good feedback or positive feedback, then I'm happy.
Excuse me.
Yes.
The Microsoft Azure training, is it the three together? Is it
Yes, yes.
900? Well, three together as one
Together, it
course.
is going to be, yes, it is going to
Oh,
be five,
great. That's
right?
great. Oh,
Advanced training
nice.
session.
And
And each
how?
session, right, after the end of the syllabus, right, for each syllabus, we are having some question answer preparation, which will help you for the Azure exam and the practice tests.
But there's no AZ400. It's not included. AZ400.
No, no, so this is only the 900 syllabus.
Oh, what about 104, 204?
He
It's
is
also
preparing.
included.
So he is just send me this AZ 900 syllabus. He is preparing the AZ 104, 204. Mostly by tomorrow, right? He is going to share me the detailed course syllabus, including this 104 and 204. This is only the
Please.
AZ
Nice.
900, right? Fundamental courses, right? And here it is
Yeah.
also mentioning what are the theories. So this AZ 900 means mostly, right? Most of the time it is a fundamental concept means theoretical part. Few
Okay.
practical things are there, but most of the time this is theoretical part. So right? But these two are completely practical.
Okay.
We'll
How
start with the fundamental, and then we'll complete this Azure Administrator and Azure DevOps Associate. So
did you
these
fix
three,
any
right?
did you fix any course fee at present, or need to decide on that?
No, course fee I have not yet decided, because first of all I need to check the syllabus, right? The complete syllabus. We need to decide, right, how many months is going to be, right? The session will be there. So he's saying that it will be minimum 5 months.
Well, it would have been nice if there is AZ 400
So
included, would have been complete.
so he told me that weekly 8 hours, and it is going to be a 5 month course.
Okay.
And sometimes I just asked him, can you please reduce the duration? So he told me that I can manage in 4.5 months. But in that scenario, I'm going to take sessions on weekends.
Okay. Ah, nice.
So basically, we are not going to compromise with the quality of a training. Rather than we can increase the duration. So the way, right, I'm taking the ASP.NET Core sessions, right, I'm not going to skip, right? So you can check, right, whatever syllabus I have provided chapter by chapter, I'm not going to skip a single chapter. Similarly, whatever chapters or topics we have provided here, every topic we are going to discuss. We are going to provide, well formatted documentations, right, so that you will be prepared by yourself, right? The way I'm providing the documentations, right, the same documentation, same set of documentations you will also get here. The explanation, definitely he give me that confidence, right? So you just arrange few people to attend the demo sessions. Rest of the things he will taken care. That is the things that what also I have provided in the Telegram group. First of all, you just attend the demo sessions. First 3 sessions are demo sessions. Then only you need to make the payment. After 15 days, if you find that the sessions are not good enough, full refund will be provided.
Okay. When is it going to start, please?
So mostly it is going to start after 10 days. I mean 17th, 18th, right, of this month we are going to start.
Oh, nice. Okay. Okay. Nice.
So this
Okay,
is,
and it should be in the morning, right?
it is going to be in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I hope he
Anyone have
teaches like you. I said, I
Sorry?
hope he teaches like you. I hope his lesson is like yours.
Yes, definitely. Because he is my colleague, right? We are studying in the same college. I know him
Okay.
personally. Unlike the what I can say, microservices, right? This guy who is going to provide Microsoft Azure, he is my colleague. Colleague in the sense, we are studying in the same college. Currently, we are
Okay.
working in different company, but we study at the same college. And he is having vast experience into the things. Right, so he is going to
Nice.
start what is a server, how a server room looks like, what are the different types of a server, right? So he is going to start from the very basic, which is required, right? And I'm sure many of you guys are not aware about this thing, how a server room looks like, what is a server, what are the different types of a server, what is cloud computing, why cloud computing is come into the picture, how the cloud computing destroyed the on-premises solutions. What is the advantages, of cloud computing over on-premises? All right. What are the difference between private, public, hybrid, cloud? What are the different types of services, right? What is capex of opex, right? So all these things he is going to explain. And this concept, right, you need to explain, right, through some diagram, some pictorial, right? So he is going to explain by giving some real-time diagram, explanation, theoretical concept, right? So here it mentioning that this is theory. Theory means, right, you need to understand this is a theoretical session. Whenever they mention this is practical, practical means he is going to show you this thing. Practical means how to create a Microsoft Azure account, right? How things are going to happen. How to create this subscription management group. All these things means this is going to be your practical session. And here, this Azure fundamental means mostly it is a theoretical session, and the rest of the two, this is going to be completely practical.
Is he going to give the notes like you said?
Yes. Notes we will provide, and the way I'm providing the notes, right, the same way we are also going to provide the notes.
Okay.
Right. So I will share the details, right? By mostly by tomorrow or day after tomorrow, right? I'm going to share the complete syllabus, the timing, duration, course fee, everything. Okay. Yeah. Anyone having any more question, guys?
Yeah, just one question I
Actually,
have.
Yes, please.
Yeah, in the previous session, you discussed how we can store the connection string in the app setting.json file and use it. In future lecture, are you going to discuss how we can store the connection string in secret manager?
No, that is what Azure keyboard. What is this? So this is how where you need to store
No, no,
the.
no, not in this for entity
Yes,
core
yes. In
framework.
Microsoft, in ASP.NET Core, definitely, we are going to have one session called Red where I'm going to discuss Secret Manager, right? So, right, instead of asking this question, right, just go ahead and check the syllabus, right, whether Secret Manager is part of our syllabus or not. SETR, right? So this is what you are talking about.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so right, if this is part of our syllabus means 100% I'm going to discuss.
So shadow
No,
properties and
I thought
concurrency
you
also
are
there.
going to discuss that in entity core.
No, it is
So,
going to be discussed in identity.
okay.
Shadow properties and concurrency is also there.
Yes, definitely, right? So what you are talking about shadow properties, right? SHAD. What is? So it should be there, right? Shadow properties I am going to discuss means one property which is not part of the model, but it is going to be created in the database. That is what shadow property. And that is what I'm going to discuss definitely in our entity framework code. Right, so that is part of the syllabus, and definitely that is what I have also explained in my right the previous batch. It is also going to be discussed. So concurrency you can check here. But shadow property it is not a separate chapter, but right as part of this session I'm going to discuss.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
the last question, please. Stephen.
Sorry.
One more question, please. Is that okay? One more question, please.
Yeah. Please ask.
Okay. About the Azure, I was wondering, why didn't you include AZ400 also?
Sorry.
Even if it
AZ.
is extra mode, 400. I was wondering why you didn't include it.
The thing is that right.
No, the
See,
last
there
one, AZ400. I mean,
that is what
400,
I'm
400. Why don't you
that is what
include
I'm
it?
saying. See,
DevOps.
it's so Azure DevOps it is a 3 months course altogether.
Yeah, but
And
if
this
we
is
are going
going to
to
be
do it, yeah.
so this is
I
going
mean,
to be
if someone can store, what I mean is, if people
let
can
me
do two
let
badges.
me let me ask let me explain. So this is
Okay.
going to be 5 months, minimum 5 months,
Yeah.
and after
Okay.
DevOps, that is also going to be a 3 months course altogether. So we don't have the patience for one batch to be taken for 8 months.
No. That's not what I meant. I meant after this course, why don't you also
Yes, then definitely,
uh,
if people are interested to learn Azure DevOps, right? Definitely, we are going to start a new
okay.
course, right?
Okay. Okay, I
Explaining the
understand.
thing,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So
That's
that
what I
right,
meant.
yeah.
So do you have
So
any plan to start a course on microservices?
microservices we are planning to start right in the month of December. But the thing is that currently I'm taking 2 batches, right? Currently I don't have any time slot to start a new batch, right? And currently, right, the way microservices sessions are going on, to be saying frankly, right, I'm not satisfied. I'm not happy.
So
Right?
after this batch, will you take microservices once you
Uh,
complete this batch?
definitely, either microservices or Microsoft Azure, right? If the current Microsoft Azure, right, which is going to be taken by my colleague, if that is well good, right? Then I'm going to start microservices, no doubt about it.
Oh, please. Microservices would be nice if
You
you can
said
take that.
you,
You said people are asking Microsoft SQL Server, so I'm going to start that too.
That is in the morning time.
Okay.
Whatever my SQL Server you are talking about, that is in the morning time.
Okay.
After the current morning batch, I'm going to start write a SQL Server because people are waiting for a long period of time, right? Because right, we need to learn advanced concept. That doesn't mean the basic we need to forget. Basic is always a mandatory because the SQL Server concept, the C sharp concept, right? They are going to be remains in right for a longer period of time. But whatever the microservices, the concept we are learning, Azure we are learning, we are not sure whether this the concept will be there after 5 years or 10 years, right? Or something new will come into the picture. We are not sure. But even today, before 10 years, after 10 years, this SQL Server will be there. The C sharp language will be there. So those concepts we cannot compromise. Any advanced concept, new concept, yes, that is definitely we are going to learn. But that doesn't mean we need to forget about our basics.
Okay,
Clear?
that's fine. But please, if you can also take microservices after this one, that would have been great. You know, microservices. That's nice.